And an RBI in his last 3 games, and Inge also brings a season-high 9-game hitting streak into the game tonight. It's an absolutely beautiful night for baseball here in the Motor City as we welcome you to Comerica Park. We're in downtown Detroit tonight. Interleague play continues. The Washington Nationals and the Detroit Tigers. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to Tigers Baseball. Mario and Pemba, Rod Allen, glad to have you with us for the start of this series. The Tigers, of course, swept the Pirates out of town, so a good start to the homestand, Rod. And here's some more good news. Maglio Ordonez back in the lineup after missing 6 games, and the Tigers can certainly use his bat.
Well, make no mistake about it. Cabrera was slowed down for just a little bit in those 6 games where Maglio wasn't there, and that's the reason why Maglio wasn't in the lineup. If you take a look at where Maglio was last year at this time, with the .348 slugging percentage compared to .490 this year, also 8 home runs, just 2 home runs at this point in time last year. He has been one of the main reasons why the Tigers are challenging the Minnesota Twins for the division. It's healthy to see Maglio back in the lineup. No doubt he's had a tremendous year. No doubt he hits with lots of batting average, but this year the power numbers are way up from last year.
All right, what do we know about this Washington Nationals team? We all know who Steven Strasburg is. I think in the future we'll find out who Bryce Harper is, but this current day crop of Nationals, not a bad team.
Well, Zimmerman, their third baseman, he's legit. He's a nice two-way player. He won a Gold Glove last year, and he also won a Silver Slugger. He gets it done on both sides of the ball. He comes in with a .306 batting average. Guzman's leading off for him. Many people know him from the Minnesota Twins days. They've also got big Adam Dunn that's playing first base but DHing here in American League City. And also Cap's last few years with the Pittsburgh Pirates, 66 saves. So they've got a nice middle of the order, and they've got a really nice back into their bullpen as well.
All right, that's the story here at Comerica Park. And now with more on our coverage, we go back to the Call Sam Studios, and here's Mickey York. Taking on the Nationals here at Comerica Park. And if Detroit combines for 3 or more home runs in this game, bring a copy of the box score to a participating Arby's location tomorrow and get a free small order of curly fries. Meanwhile, here's the starting lineup for the visiting Nationals that is presented by Honda Bloomfield. Christian Guzman leads it off. He'll play second base, followed by Niger Morgan. Ryan Zimmerman, one of their best players, is hitting third, playing third. Adam Dunn, the big power source, the DH. Josh Willingham is in left. Pudge Rodriguez, a familiar face, will do the catching. And your bottom three is Fernandia and Norris, and then Desmond for the Washington Nationals. Here is the scouting report on Mr. Max Scherzer, presented by Ace Hardware.
Well, he's got explosive stuff. That much we do know about Scherzer. As a matter of fact, in his last 3 starts, 24 strikeouts. But they like to see him do it in back-to-back games. He had one great start and one not-so-good start, followed by a real good start. And one of the reasons why he's been so good, he's found the right mix. He's thrown some real good sliders early in the game.
So we're underway. Scherzer facing Guzman here. The Nationals come in 2 under the 500 mark at 31 and 33. Guzman is hitting .304, and he looks at a strike, 1 ball and 1 strike.
This overall really isn't a bad Nationals club from an offensive standpoint. They don't catch the baseball very well, but they can hit. They got good numbers offensively.
And we'll see how those numbers translate in this ballpark. And Scherzer gets ahead 1-2. Guzman, the former Minnesota Twin, spent 6 years with Minnesota, so the Tigers got a good look at him when he was playing at the Metrodome in Minneapolis.
He can run 88 triples in his career, which is 4th among all active players. A good many of those triples came as a Minnesota Twin running on that artificial carpet.
Wave and a miss, and down he goes. Good start for Scherzer. It's his first strikeout of the ball game tonight.
One of the reasons why Scherzer has been so good since coming back from the minor leagues, where he spent 10 days, the explosiveness with the fastball, anywhere from 95 to 97, but it's the late life that gives him an extra gear, which allows him to blow the ball by major league hitters. If he continues to locate his fastball and get this kind of movement, it's going to be tough for these Washington Nationals to get loose tonight against Scherzer.
Here is Nyjer Morgan, the number 2 hitter. Morgan was leading off this year, but he really struggled in that capacity. So they've got him batting in the 2 spot these days. He offers a lot of speed. Nationals have some speed at the top of that lineup, and they've got some thump in the middle of it.
Scherzer with a strikeout there on a changeup to Guzman, which is exactly what Rick Knapp and Jeff Jones would like to see him do early in this ball game. Throw more sliders, throw more changeups.
Down the third base line, going to be a tough play if it stays fair, and it will. Nice try by Gerald Laird, who poked it foul, but home plate umpire Chad Fairchild wasn't buying it.
You cannot make a better bunt than the bunt that Morgan makes here. Perfecto.
So the speedy Morgan is on. Morgan has 12 stolen bases this year. He becomes a threat. Ryan Zimmerman, the number 3 hitter, batting .306. And the runner goes. Here comes a throw from Laird. It bounces in and hits the runner. Morgan is up. He's going to come to third base, and he'll get in there safely as the ball scampers all the way out to short left field. The stolen base for Morgan is his 11th.
He's not waiting around. He got a real good jump, and Laird rushed his throw. And anytime we see Laird rush his throw, the ball kind of tails toward the second base side of the bag. In this case, it hits Morgan and trickles into shallow left field. And with his speed, wasting very little time getting up, able to get himself over to third base.
13th steal of the year. It's a stolen base, E2. And now the infield coming in for the Tigers early on in this one. The 0-1 to Zimmerman. In the air, shallow right field. Maglio coming in. Morgan tagging up. Catch is made, and here comes the throw to the plate. They'll try and score him, and he is safe at home plate.
That is just blazing speed. That ball was not very deep in right field. Maglio tried to set himself to get off a good throw, which he did. But way too much speed for Morgan.
Nationals take the early 1-0 lead. Morgan easily sliding in ahead of the tag. And so Zimmerman gets his 36th RBI. 2 gone, bases empty, and here is Adam Dunn. Dunn's numbers against Scherzer are kind of striking. He's only had 3 at-bats, but he's had 3 hits, and 2 of them home runs.
Well, he's got to pitch him inside. You can't wait around trying to pitch big Adam Dunn away from him. That's when he extends his arms, and that's when he does lots of damage.
0-2 on Dunn. He's piling up some pretty good numbers again this year. 14 homers, 35 driven in. He has homered in 4 of his last 6 for the Nats. Scherzer missing high and outside, 1-2. Some pretty good career numbers there.
He's trotted around the bases quite a bit. 330 times to be exact.
Now the 1-2.
And he hits some of the furthest home runs in baseball. He's got that kind of power.
Dunn is the designated hitter tonight. Checked it, missed it outside. Dunn has DH'd against American League teams 6 times. The Nationals' all-time leader for DHs in interleague play is a former Tiger, Dmitri Young, who did it 13 times. Now the 3-2. Got him. Strike 3. Dunn is out of there. Side retired. Second strikeout for Scherzer. Nationals get a run.
Sponsored by McDonald's. Just text the uniform number of the Tigers.
Of the first Tigers starting lineup is presented by Big Boy, and it features Ryan Rayburn at the top in center field. Austin Jackson still not good to go today. Johnny Damon, the DH. Maglio back in the lineup in right. Cabrera cleaning up, then Bosch and Guillen. You've got Inge, Laird, and Worth for the Tigers starting lineup. The Bernstein Advantage brings you the scouting report on John Lannon. Get the Bernstein Advantage. We go to bat for you.
Well, he was their number 1. He started opening day for them this year and also last year. But Steven Strasburg will be opening day assignment next year. And he's been pitching in a lot of traffic this year is Lannon. 114 innings pitched, 114 base runners, and 66 innings pitched, And his last start, 3 walks in 4 2/3. So he's had some command issues lately.
Ryan Rayburn leads it off for the Tigers. Austin Jackson not able to go tonight. Talked to Kevin Rand, the head athletic trainer, before the game. He said Austin's getting there. He's still day-to-day. Shouldn't be much longer. He has improved quite a bit. He had the back spasms a couple of days ago, which took him out of that game. And now the count goes to 2-1.
It's nice to have that day off, but although in Austin's case, he probably had to come to the ballpark yesterday and get some treatment to get himself ready to play in this series against the Nationals.
2-1. Rayburn out in front, and the count goes to 2-2.
It's one of the things you hated as a player on your off day. If you had an injury, you still have to come to the ballpark to get some treatment. So it's not necessarily an off day for you if you're ailing just a little bit.
Yeah, and those off days at home are golden.
Golden.
Where you hate to give them up. The 2-2. He got him. Strike 3. Rayburn is straightened up and 1 away.
Let's take a look at the Nationals defensively. And, of course, they've got one of my all-time favorite players behind the dish, and that would be Pudge Rodriguez. And when he's all said and done, he's headed straight to the Hall of Fame. All-star just about every single year, two-way player. What a job he did here in Detroit. Outstanding talent.
Johnny Damon takes a strike. It's been a resurgent type year for Pudge Rodriguez, batting .338.
He's hanging around to get 3,000 hits. That's about the only thing left for him to accomplish in baseball.
Lined on one hop to the shortstop. Wicked hop for Ian Desmond, who throws him out.
I was talking to Jim Riggleman, their manager, before the game. Boy, and he was raving about his shortstop, Desmond. He's made 15 errors this year, but Riggleman said he doesn't even care. He said this guy is going to be an impact player at some point in time at this level. He loves him.
I guess they see enough of the skills that he has that they are able, with a young player, to kind of look away at some of the errors. They believe he's going to be a good one.
You know, that's the one thing about guys that like Jeter and A-Rod and even Nomar and Tejada, some of your better shortstops back in the day. And those guys all made lots of errors too their very first couple of years in the major leagues.
Kind of goes with the territory, I suppose, with a young player.
He's a big boy too, 6'2", about 210. You don't see shortstops that size anymore.
The 1-1. Maglio back in the lineup after missing 6 games with that sore oblique. Jim Leland said before the game today that he could have played on Sunday, but with the day off Monday, they decided let's just give him that day off, take Monday off, and then he'll be good to go for Washington. The 1-2.
Landon not overpowering. He'll cut the fastball. He'll throw you a curve. He'll throw you a slider. His changeup is a really good swing and miss pitch for him, but he's not going to overpower this Tigers team.
On the ground, back up the middle, into center field, a base hit for Maglio.
That ball went right through Landon's legs.
Ordonez hasn't skipped a beat.
In his last 20 games, Maglio Ordonez hitting at about a 390 clip. So when he left for missing those 6 games, he's sizzling hot. That's the changeup, and that's exactly what you do with a changeup. You hit it right back up the middle. That replay, courtesy of Lincoln Mercury.
Here's Cabrera. That base hit will extend the inning and give Cabrera a chance to hit. Miguel, of course, had the game winner with the home run against the Pirates on Sunday. 19 homers now and 56 RBIs. Look at his numbers against the Nationals.
Yeah, they were glad he left the National League.
He absolutely terrorized Washington pitching.
I was talking to some people that travel with their club, and they said as much. It was no surprise to them that Cabrera has been able to do in a Tigers uniform what he was doing in a Florida Marlins uniform.
2-0 is a strike, 2-1.
He picked on Dotel on Sunday. As a matter of fact, this is the second time he's taken Dotel deep walk-off variety. This time to the biggest part of the ballpark, and there's not many right-handers when they hit it in that direction. Do they start walking down the line knowing they've got enough and it's out of the ballpark?
You know, when he hit that ball, Rod, I questioned whether or not it was going to carry out, but he knew immediately that thing was gone.
He's amazing. He is just a fascinating, special young player, and he's not even as good as he's going to be yet.
3-1 pitch is ball 4, and now the Tigers have something rolling here with 2 outs. First walk of the game for Landon. By the way, this game is available in crystal clear high definition tonight on Fox Sports Detroit HD, sponsored by Comcast.
Well, it looked like he was pitching around Cabrera, but why in the world would he do that to get to this catch? .533 against left-handed pitching. Almost 300 against right-handers. Bosch was 5 for 13 in that Pittsburgh series. The reason why Landon is not as good or has problems against left-handers from time to time is what we talk about quite often here. Most left-handers a little reluctant in throwing that changeup to left-handed batters, and he's no different. He doesn't throw many changeups to the left-handers. The 1-0 pitch. That slides outside. 2 balls, no strikes. .24 extra base hits, which leads American League rookies for Bryn Bosch. 41 games.
Ordonez, Cabrera, the base runners. Bosch, the rookie, trying to cash him in. Had a rip on 2-0 and sent it right back to the screen.
Pudge did not like the location of that last pitch. Therefore, out of the crouch to talk to Landon briefly. We also told you at the top of the show, and that's why Pudge didn't like the pitch right down the middle, that Landon pitches in a lot of traffic. 114 total base runners coming into the game in just 66 2/3 innings. That's almost 2 base runners per inning.
Yeah, that's more than a lot. And he's got 2 more to deal with here. Bosch has the tying run at second base, the go-ahead run at first base. And the 2-1. Fouled away, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
That's a better located fastball by Landon. It may have been a ball, but when you're sitting in a 2-1 count and you are an RBI guy, you can get to this pitch if you're really looking for it. But take a look at the location. Much better located pitch, and it was a ball.
And the 2-2. Ground ball hit to short. Scooting over to his right, Desmond, and will get the 4 as hard hit. But that's the final out of the inning. Tigers strand a pair. American Bank, strength and stability since 1849. And by Comcast, call 1-800-COMCAST for TV, phone, and internet. Back here at the ballpark. A cloudy, windy evening here, but the temperature is still very pleasant, 76 degrees. In a 1-0 game, Washington on top in this one. As we start up this 3-game interleague series, the Diamondbacks will be coming into town later this week. Scherzer back to work facing Josh Willingham. Pudge Rodriguez and Roger Bernardina.
This Washington Nationals team, they're middle of the batting order, 3, 4, 5. They can hit. And there are not many 3, 4, 5s better than these guys. And Willingham is one of those guys. He comes in with a .417 on base percentage. And not only does he watch a lot of pitches, he's got power too.
Well, they have 39 homers between them, 3, 4, and 5. 12 of those for Willingham. The 1-1. Breaking ball, and he's out in front of that, 1-2.
Good slider. And one of the reasons why Scherzer is throwing lots of sliders here early in the game, yes, he's going up against some good right-handed hitters. But he also noticed that by the time he would leave the bullpen to warm up for a game, many games he wouldn't throw his first breaking ball until like the 2nd inning, which is almost an hour after he had warmed up. So that's one of the things he's trying to get to now is more breaking balls early in the game.
He's run it full now with a fastball, 3-2. Scherzer now has struck out 26 over his last 19 innings since returning from Toledo. And he almost had another. The leadoff man is on, and let's listen in now to the introduction of Pudge Rodriguez, the former Tiger.
The catcher, number 7, Pudge Rodriguez.
So Pudge gets a nice round of applause in his return to Comerica Park, the second game that he has played in this ballpark since leaving the Tigers.
Tigers have very classy fans. Al Kaline, I remember him saying a couple of years ago about Pudge Rodriguez when he was wearing a Tigers uniform, that he is the best free agent signing in their history. That's what he meant to this franchise when he signed in 2004. When you get Mr. Tiger saying that, you know you've got a special player.
Well, they had some good ones. Obviously, they signed Kenny Rogers, they signed Maglio, they signed Percival, but Pudge, what he did for this franchise was kind of immeasurable.
He was the first one to come on board in 04. That was after a 119-loss season in 03.
And it's funny because when he signed with the Tigers, many were asking, why in the world, Pudge, would you go to a team that just lost 119 games, and 2 years later, they were in the World Series?
He even said that. He believed that David Dabrowski would surround him with some good players, which he did. And they marched all the way to the World Series in 06.
Here's the 0-1. Lifted back out of play. 0-2 on Pudge Rodriguez.
This is when it all started. Still looks young, too.
Unbelievable arm. Had a lot of big hits. Walk-off style here at Comerica Park.
Always had a smile on his face, too. Always had a smile on his face.
Pudge Rodriguez now has amassed quite a few awards, and you might expect this. 14 All-Star games with 13 Gold Gloves and 7 Silver Slugger awards, which goes to the top hitter at each position. Ooh, and Scherzer just missed threading the needle. 1-2.
Scherzer's got a really nice fastball today, but he just needs to thread the needle with it a little bit more. He's a little too picky. When he gets ahead, he's going way in or way off the plate, but with 97 in your back pocket, you have the ability to throw that ball on the inner edge, and you might get the call from Jerry Davis here today. Nope, not Jerry Davis today. Chad Fairchild today. Jerry Davis was Sunday. My scorebook blew over.
It's a windy night. Stuff happens. 2-2 on Pudge. Well, the one thing that we realized about Pudge as soon as he joined the Tigers was that there's probably nobody that will outwork him in terms of keeping himself into physically tip-top shape. I mean, this is a guy that on the road would constantly work out before games, after games. And that's why he is able to play at this level, at this age, at a demanding position. The 2-2 is 3-2 now on Pudge Rodriguez.
That's my point right there. That fastball that he's featuring today at 96 and 97, he just needs to get a little bit more plate of it. I mean, this ball's off the plate inside, and Pudge ain't swinging at it. You throw that ball on the inner edge, he's going to be tough for him to get to that pitch, too. Now you allow the base runner to run here.
Willingham on the move, and it's driven high in the air to right field. Hit pretty good. Maglio going back, still going back. And he has it right in front of 365.
Let's take a look at the rest of the Tigers defensively, always presented by Beaumont Hospitals. You know that Maglio is in right. Jackson's still not in with back spasms, which means Rayburn's in center. Big bad Brennan Bosch is in left. The infield reads Inge, Worth, Ian, Cabrera. And Laird getting the start here tonight against the left-hander, Lannon.
Danny Worth getting the call at shortstop tonight. As the Tigers continue to give him an opportunity.
I was asking him before the game what his favorite position was, and he said, any position in the big leagues is my favorite position, Rod. And I said, no. Give it to me straight. So he said, yes, I do like playing shortstop because he says, I like to throw. He likes to show off his powerful throwing arm.
we've got an eye full of that. He's made some plays in the hole where he has been able to make the long throw with relative ease. Bernardino waves and misses. 1 ball and 1 strike on the Nationals right fielder. He is out of Curacao in the Netherlands. Called up from Syracuse back in April, late April, the 28th.
Tigers had a player from Curacao a couple of years ago. Jair Jurgens was from.
Randall Simon, too.
Yeah.
The 1-1. Bouncing ball hit to the right side, and Guillen can't get there. It's into right field. Willingham will go to third base. He's in there standing up, and the Nationals with a threat going here in the second.
Batting eighth, the first baseman, number 28, Michael Morris.
Guillen shaded up the middle, and with Bernardino standing in the batter's box, and that one just under the glove.
That's going to leave him now, and runners at first and third with 1 out. Bernardino has a base hit, and the Nationals have their second of the game. That'll bring up Michael Morse. And since returning from the disabled list, a cool 10 for 20. Scherzer missing outside, 1-0. Morse overall this year is 11 for 26, so he's been swinging a hot bat. He was on the DL with a bad calf muscle. Former Seattle Mariner. 2 balls, no strikes, and Scherzer now throwing quite a few pitches. That was number 33. With only 1 out here in the second. Max was really good in his last start and certainly pitched well enough to win in Chicago. Was outpitched in that game. Went 7 1/3, gave up 3 runs, struck out 7. 2-1.
You know you've got a pretty good fastball when the hitter is sitting in a 2-0 count, and he knows beyond a shadow of a doubt he's going to get a fastball, and you're still able to blow it right past him. If I'm Scherzer, I'm coming back with that exact same pitch just to see if Morris can catch up to it.
Bernardino has swiped 4. He's at first base. Morse with 4 RBIs. Trying to lengthen the lead here for Washington with only 1 out. And it's fouled back out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Let's take a look at Max's overall numbers this year. The earned run average is a lot higher than you'd like to see it. But if he continues to pitch the way that he has in 2 of his last 3 starts, then the earned run average will start to inch its way down, as will the opponent's batting average. Morris cannot catch up to this fastball if he locates it where he needs to. He'll get a strikeout.
Two and 2 on Morse. Runner going, and it's hit foul down the third base line. It almost picked off Willingham. He had to spin out of the way.
That's why they tell you to take your lead in foul territory. In case that ball does hit you, that's obviously still just a foul ball. You do not want to ever take your lead from first base in the fair territory.
That'll head foul back out of play. Two and 2, the count stays on Michael Morse. He and Desmond waiting on deck. Nationals picked up Morse last year from Seattle last June for Ryan Langerhans. He was up and down for several years with Seattle. You've got Willingham at third base and Bernardina down at first. That's in the air. Foul ground down the right field line. And nobody will get to this one.
Morris getting an opportunity to play in Washington. And one, because he's got some talent, and two, because he knows Jim Riggleman, who's the manager of the Washington Nationals, and also John McLaren is the bench coach for Riggleman, and those two guys were in Seattle in 08 when Morris wore a Seattle Mariners uniform, so they know all about him.
This will be the 8th pitch coming up in this at bat. It's been a lengthy battle. Scherzer in interleague play is 2-2 with a 2.95 ERA. That was coming into tonight. Obviously, most of that was in the National League facing American League hitters. Another quick throw, and Bernardina back. Swing and a miss, and Scherzer finally disposes of him for his 3rd strikeout of the game. There are 2 gone.
It's a slider that's a really good pitch, and we've documented the fact that Scherzer has thrown quite a few of those sliders already here today. And you can see the spin on it. Got to be careful here with Desmond, though. Desmond's one of their better hitters with runners in scoring position this year. Although batting 9th, he has done his fair share of damage in these situations.
Ooh. In the air, shallow left field. Brendan Bosch coming in, and that is that. Side retired, so they threaten but do not score. They strand a pair. We go to the bottom of the 2nd. Guillen, Inge, Laird coming up. Washington as we go to the bottom of the 2nd. How about these numbers? In their last 11 home games, the Tigers starting to turn it up a notch on the home turf.
Well, it all starts with pitching. When you can have an earned run average of 2.15, obviously you're going to give your offense plenty of opportunities to come back in games, and that has kind of been the remedy for success for the Tigers all year.
Strike 1 on Carlos Guillen, who leads it off. It'll be Guillen, Inge, and Laird against the left-hander Lannon.
Again, should have some fresh legs today. Had a couple of days off, didn't play on Sunday, and of course there was a team day off on Monday, so a couple of days off for the veteran switch hitter.
Lannon missing high. 1 ball and 1 strike. Well, Jim Leland said the other day he's pleased with the second base that Carlos has played, and I know a lot was made about whether or not he would be able to adjust to that position. And that's looped into center for a base hit. Well, he's aboard, a leadoff single for the Tigers. Tigers now have their second hit of the game. That'll bring up Brandon Inge. And he has really become a red-hot Tiger, a 9-game hitting streak for Brandon. In fact, what a series he had against the Pirates, 5 for 10.
I was asking Lloyd McClendon today, what's the biggest difference with him and why has he started to emerge and do so well? And Lloyd said it's all about Brandon's hands. He says when he gets his hands in that nice, relaxed position, wiggling them like he's wiggling them right now, he gets lots of bat speed. He said when Brandon starts to struggle, he tightens up like most hitters, and he becomes too mechanical. But you could see that he's just real loose at the plate right now, and Lloyd McClendon said that's why he's doing well.
Now, is that something Lloyd picked up himself?
I think Lloyd did pick that up a couple of weeks ago, and he brought it to Brandon. But Brandon was struggling mightily at the time, and he really wasn't in the mood to hear it. And players are like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're hearing it from their wives, they're hearing it from the coach, they're hearing it from me, they're hearing it from lots of people, and sometimes you're like, okay, I'm going to be okay. I've done this before. But finally, started to listen to Lloyd here again, and he's picked it up a notch. 9-game hitting streak.
And even at times, the peanut vendor will chime in.
Yeah, no question. Everybody's got an answer for you.
2-1 on Brandon. Well, it is really starting to click now because over his last 17, he's hitting at a cool 344 clip. Lannon gave up a single and a walk in the first, no damage, and a leadoff single here in the second. Swing and a miss. 2-2 on Brandon Inge.
That fastball at 88 miles an hour, and it sounded like it's about 102, but Lannon, for the most part, it doesn't challenge you with lots of fastballs. Change-ups, breaking balls, an occasional fastball, and it looks a lot harder when you have a left-hander that's primarily a touch-and-feel guy.
Hit hard, but foul just outside of the bag at third, and right there to make the call was Mike Riley.
Inge chokes up just a hair when he's got 2 strikes on him, and when you hang him a breaking ball, because he's choked up and he doesn't stride very much, he usually puts the ball in play with some authority. Lannon got away with a hanging breaking ball there.
Two on Brandon. Lannon last year a 9-game winner, but his ERA was 3.88. He made a lot of starts. 33 for the Nationals. That's it the other way and through. Base hit. Brandon keeps swinging it. That's a 10-game hit streak. So 6 through 9 is just continuing what they have done since the beginning of this month.
Well, they needed 6 for 9 to perk up that much is for sure, because you knew the front 5 guys were getting it done.
270, 6 through 9. That's probably the biggest difference. They've been getting some more base hits, some more scoring opportunities for the top of the lineup when they finally turn it over.
Well, you wonder if Jim will sacrifice bunt here early with Laird just to get a run or 2 on the board.
No sign of bunts, and he looks at a strike.
Well, you got to look at both sides of the story. Had he bunted him there, then you're looking at Worth to drive in the runs, and Jim might feel like even though Laird's hitting 160, that it is better for him to swing the stick as well, at least early in the game.
Laird 327 career in interleague play, and he hits one off the pitcher. It'll roll towards second base, and everybody is safe. Lannon took a rocket right back through the box, and it nailed him.
The Tigers' right-handed batters have got a really nice approach here today against Lannon. That's a changeup or a fastball away. Rickles right off the hip and trickles toward the second base position, but Guzman could not get there. I mean, that ball was sizzled right off the hip. But the approach that I'm talking about is Maglio went up the middle. Carlos Guillen went right back up the middle. And then you've got Inge and Laird also hitting the ball in that direction. So their game plan today against Lannon is a good one. Hey fans, this Friday join the Tigers for a totally awesome 80s party when they host the Arizona Diamondbacks at 7:05. Pre-game entertainment includes breakdancers, costume characters, and more. For tickets, call 866-66-TIGER or visit tigers.com. Can't wait to see the breakdancers.
You gonna join in?
No.
Come on.
I used to have some buddies that were really good at that, though. I was not one of them.
I've seen you bobbing and weaving up here in the booth.
That's just about it. Bob and weave.
Well, here's Danny Worth now. The base is loaded. And he swings in the first pitch and hits one slowly towards short. They're going to come home, and they get the force there.
That's why Jim Riggleman likes this young man. I mean, there are some young players with the infield playing at double play depth. They probably would have tried to at least get the force out at second, but Desmond like, no. I'm going to come in. My momentum's carrying me toward home plate. Let's go get the out here and then see if Landon can twirl a ground ball to get himself a double play to get out of this inning. It's a good heads-up play by Desmond.
So here's Ryan Rayburn. The bases remain loaded with one out. Line drive foul, and he almost picked off Brandon Ings down at third base. I would venture to guess on that last play, you would see, especially young shortstops, you would see most of them go to first base, wouldn't you?
Or maybe, or most of the time for sure. Take the sure out, but this guy heads-up player. Athletic player, too. Look at him. He's leader in the infield, too.
Rayburn is 0 for 1 with a strikeout. And there is strike 2. So now it's quickly 0-2 on Rayburn, who just did not like that call from Chad Fairchild.
Well, you still got a big one left. Do not allow Chad Fairchild to disrupt your concentration, and that ball is probably down. But if you're Rayburn, you still got the bases loaded, and you got one big strike.
And Leland is letting Fairchild know he didn't like that call either. The 0-2. Wouldn't chase it. Rayburn needs a big hit. The Tigers just flat out have to get him going. They've given him some opportunities, and obviously he is getting a chance here with Austin Jackson down. And Ryan is 0 for his last 15, and if he can just drive in a couple of runs here with a base hit, that might get him going. Landon will step off. Rayburn has knocked in 8 this year. Of course, he went down to the minor leagues for a brief spell and hit over 400 there before returning. Johnny Damon waiting on deck. And that is tipped foul. He tried to check a swing and made contact with that baseball. Inge at third base. They have Laird at second base, and they have Worth at first. Your Tiger base runners. Washington got a run in the first inning, and so far it's held up. Pudge down to block it. 2 balls, 2 strikes. They signed Pudge Rodriguez to a 2-year deal to the Washington Nationals, and I think they thought that Pudge would be able to help mentor Jesus Flores, who is a young catcher they have. But then Flores had some surgery, and all of a sudden Pudge is thrust into that starting role and playing every day and swinging the bat. The 2-2 is low. 3 balls and 2 strikes, and now Rayburn has gotten himself ahead in the count. Bases loaded with Tigers. Here comes the crowd early in this game. And the 3-2. He walked in, ball 4. Another force in a run. Rayburn gets his 9th RBI. Riggleman now staring at a bases-loaded situation with a run in to tie it at 1. And now you've got the meat of the Tigers lineup coming up. Here's Johnny Damon. Shattered his bat, rolled it to first base. He'll come home with it, 1 there. Relayed at first, not in time. Damon aboard in the fielder's choice. Laird is forced out at home plate.
It's a good play here by Morse. He gets the out at home first and foremost. And Pudge Rodriguez noticed Damon did not get out of the batter's box quickly. Therefore, he almost turned it over with a firm throw back to the first baseman, Morse.
So the bases stay loaded here. 1-1 game. 2 outs for Ordonez. Ball 1. Maglio, career with the bases loaded, awfully good. High fly ball left field. Willingham going back has room, and the Tigers will leave them loaded, but they get a run in. 3 men left, 2 in the books. It's now 1-1. The most trusted name in eye care, and by AT&T. Find out what's possible with the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, rethink possible. It's like the youngsters are enjoying Tigers baseball tonight.
Yeah, kids out of school, hanging out on Tuesday nights.
Not a better time to be a kid than when school is out.
And be careful here with Christian Guzman. He likes to bunt for base hits as well. We watched Niger Morgan, the number 2 hitter, bunt for a base hit earlier.
First pitch is flared in the air. And will go foul down the left field line.
Guzman has cooled off here lately, but he's still hitting .302. But boy, he hit about .381 in the month of May and was one of the better hitters in the entire National League. So he's off to a real nice start this year, is Christian.
Not a whole lot of power. He'll hit you some triples, though. 88 of them in career. Guzman slowed down here in the month of June after a red-hot May. And we mentioned some speed at the top of that lineup with Morgan. 0-2 on Guzman. There are the splits that we talked about. 381 in May. This guy really has been a pretty good hitter in his career. In fact, he came in this season as a .271 lifetime hitter. Back out of play again. Guzman, Morgan, and then Zimmerman here in the third for Washington. These two teams met last at RFK Stadium a few years ago. Tigers won all 3 of those
in convincing fashion.
Yeah,
they wore them out.
They were rolling.
they beat the Washington Nationals in them 3 games like they stole something. I mean, they wore them out.
Wave and a miss, and Guzman is out of there. Now Scherzer has picked up his 4th strikeout. Well, as we flash back to 2007, remember this series really well. It was our first visit to RFK, and the Tigers, it seemed like everybody was hitting.
Yeah, Sean Casey was getting busy. It seemed like Granderson was leading off the game with a double or a triple or a home run. I mean, Inge was getting into the act. It was one of those special series, and the Nationals couldn't wait for the Tigers to get out of town.
Boy, there's no question about that. Tigers had 41 hits in the 3-game series there at RFK. Now, of course, they're playing in their brand new sparkling stadium. Morgan looks at a strike called 0-2.
This is a self-made baseball player here. You know, this kid grew up playing hockey and made the transformation to baseball in junior college, and now he finds himself in the big leagues and playing some really good baseball for the Washington Nationals. You don't see many kids go from playing a whole lot of hockey to playing Major League Baseball.
The 1-2. Line to center field, sinking. It's going to drop, base hit. 1 on, 1 out. Right now we go back to the studio. It's time for a game break. Let's check in with Mickey York.
The third baseman for Ryan Zimmerman.
All right. Outstanding news there, Mick. And, of course, all Spartan fans have to be happy about that. Took a while, but Coach Izzo not going anywhere. It's got to be awfully enticing to coach LeBron James if indeed James would have stayed in Cleveland.
Well, you got to imagine, too, if Izzo didn't take this job at Cleveland, he's never leaving the campus.
He's probably Spartan for life now.
No doubt. You got to watch this cat Morgan. He's got some speed. He's already stolen the base. He has 13 steals this year, but surprising, he's been caught 10 times. So that's not a good ratio at all. I don't know if he's picking the wrong spots, if he's running on slide steps or what, but 13 steals and caught 10 times is just 57%.
And he leaps back into the bag and almost was picked off there.
Trevor Thompson did a very nice piece on Morgan in the pregame show today, Tigers Live, and Morgan told him that he got his speed from his mom. His mom was a world-class sprinter, and he said his dad was real athletic too, All-American basketball player. So he said he comes by his athleticism honestly.
Well, last year he swiped, let's see here, 24 in a Nationals uniform and was caught just 7 times. So his percentage was much better than it is right now.
And we always talk about guys that are true base stealers. Those are the guys that steal bases when everybody in the ballpark knows they're running.
Bluffing that time. And it's 2-0 on Zimmerman.
Well, this is what speed will do for you if you have it at the top of your lineup. Great bunt, takes his time. He gets on first base, and then the very first pitch to the number 3 hitter, he takes off and runs and ends up on third. And then a very short fly ball into right field. He's able to manufacture a run with his legs by himself. That's speed.
6th in the National League with 13 stolen bases.
And if you're a pitcher, when you've got a guy like Morgan on the base paths, you sometimes become preoccupied with that base run. And you cannot divide your attention between Morgan and Zimmerman right now. Zimmerman's the truth. He's one of the better players in the National League. Good two-way player with a lot of power at that third base position.
And he comes from that area of Virginia that has produced a ton of big league players, including David Wright and B.J. Upton. He played with both of those guys in summer ball.
Verlander's from that area, too.
Kadire. There's quite a few of them. We'll get back into the seats. Here's that list of current players from Virginia Beach.
All those guys, real high draft choices, too.
Scott Sizemore, the Tiger prospect, is from that area as well. He played with a few of those guys in summer ball. 2-2 on Ryan Zimmerman. We're tied at 1 in the third.
Zimmerman also won his first Gold Glove last year, thanks probably to all the lofty offensive numbers that he put up, because he made 17 errors, but he got to more balls than any third baseman in the major leagues, and he had more assists than any third baseman in the major leagues.
Runner goes. Strike called. Throw down to second. The tag. Not in time. Zimmerman is out on strikes. That'll be 5 strikeouts for Scherzer, but another steal for Nyjer Morgan.
Fastball right down the middle. Morgan takes off, and Laird makes a nice throw down to second base right on the bag, but Morgan is just way too fast, about 12 steps before he's in his slide. Tigers have seen some really fast guys in the National League last couple of series. McCutchen was in here, and he's got some real nice speed, too, of the Pittsburgh Pirates. As a matter of fact, these two guys were teammates last year, Morgan and McCutchen.
They were indeed. Pittsburgh.
You don't want to mess with Big Adam Dunn right here. 2 outs, even though he's not very good with runners in scoring position. He's hot right now. He's one of their hottest hitters. And you've got a nice parking spot down there at first base for him. Don't mess with him.
The 1-0. 2 balls, no strikes on Dunn, who struck out back in the first.
A little mini shift that they have on Dunn. You see Carlos Guillen in this area. Uh-oh, we got circles tonight. And you got Worth up the middle over here. I don't know who's in that baby circle up there, but we'll figure out somebody for you.
The 2-0 is outside 3-0.
And it's nice here. I wouldn't pitch to him here either. I really wouldn't.
And here comes ball 4. They're now just going to walk him intentionally. And they'll try their luck with Josh Willingham, who's on deck. So they'll put Dunn on with first base open. 2 on, 2 out. It'll be the second walk for Scherzer. Willingham has the other walk, batting .273. Former Florida Marlin. He spent 5 years in a Marlins uniform.
He's got good power. This guy had a lot of minor league home runs too. Legitimate power hitter. A lot of minor league at bats too. Ooh,
threw that one by.
Yeah, he did. That fastball at 93 right around the belt buckle, tough for right-handers to get to. If it's down, they've got a better opportunity, but the ones that are up are a little bit more work to center.
Oh, 2.
Both of these teams do not like the strike zone early of Chad Fairchild. It's a big one. But if you know it's this big, then you know you better start swinging, because obviously he's going to call him. He's doing it both ways.
And the 0-2. Little looper into shallow right, going to drop in. Base hit. Morgan will come around to score with ease. On his way to third is Dunn. He'll rumble in there, and it's a 2-out, 2-strike single for Josh Willingham.
Well, Scherzer just didn't hit his spot there. No balls and 2 strikes after a couple of real firm fastballs to Willingham. And take a look at Laird, where he wants the ball. You see where Laird is. He wants the ball up, and Scherzer throws it down.
So Willingham gets his 40th RBI. It's going to make it a 2-1 ball game. Washington in the lead now, and here's Pudge Rodriguez. Pudge fly to right field his first time up, and he takes strike 1. .336 average for Pudge. 2,661 hits.
He wants 3,000. That's at least a couple more years. At least.
Well, he's 38. He'll be 39 in November. And there's another base hit. And that'll drive in a run, so he's getting closer. Dunn scores.
With the stuff that Scherzer has, for him to get ahead of Willingham, no balls and 2 strikes, to give up a base hit to him, and then also yield a single to Pudge on an 0-1 count, he's not hitting his spots the way that he should hit his spots, especially when you get ahead. Scherzer has the kind of electricity in his arm that when he gets ahead, he can blow some people away, but that fastball right down in Pudge's happy zone, and Pudge is not afraid to take that single right back up the middle.
He's going to bring a visit from Rick Knapp, the Tigers pitching coach. And the Nationals now have 5 hits. They've taken a 3-1 lead.
Meanwhile, the Tigers, from an offensive standpoint, should have some more runs themselves. They've been able to bend Lannon, the starter for the Washington Nationals, but they have not been able to break him. He's pitched in heavy traffic all day long.
Let me correct a stat that I gave you. As Bernardino steps in, Pudge has over 2,600 hits as a catcher, but his total is actually over 2,800. So that's a lot closer to 3,000. He still needs a couple of hundred more hits, less than that. 2,819 is his total now. Ball down low, 2 balls and no strikes. 3-1 Washington. They've added 2 more here in the 3rd. Bernardino had a single back in the 2nd. Fouled back out of play. 67 pitches now for Scherzer, and we're in the 3rd. The 2-1. 2-2 on Bernardino. Played only 3 games last year, suffered a broken ankle, so he was gone just about the entire year. He provides a little bit of speed at the bottom of Jim Riggleman's lineup as well. We talked about Morgan at the top. And Bernardino still with quite a few in his 8 years in the minor leagues. And there's strike 3. Scherzer rings him up. 6 strikeouts, but 2 runs in, and the Nats have regained the lead. Off for the Detroit Tigers. Here's how the race is going for first base in the All-Star voting. Morneau is still leading, but Teixeira is in second place over Cabrera, and their numbers aren't even close.
Well, if Morneau wins the voting, Teixeira, I don't think he'll make the All-Star team.
No.
Which means Cabrera will get in this year. He was the odd man out last year because of Teixeira and Youkilis and Morneau, but not this year.
Bosch and then Guillen to follow as Lannon misses. The count goes to 1-1.
Some really good first basemen in the American League this year, and several will not get a chance to make the trip to Anaheim.
Whistled right by Zimmerman down the left field line, and to the wall it goes. Willingham was unable to cut it off, and Cabrera hits a bullet to the wall. It's a double.
He hits the ball so hard. It's just amazing. Willingham ran over to this ball like he was going to cut it off, just like most left fielders would do. And he can't even believe it. He's looking up at the screen to figure out why he wasn't able to run it off. Most guys are able to cut this ball off, but it's hit so hard. Once it hits the grass, this ball just scoots right past Willingham. He's like, wait a minute, man.
What happened?
It's not supposed to be like that.
Here's Brendan Bosch. Tying run at the plate. Bosch hits a ground ball. Knocked down nicely by Guzman to his feet to throw out Brennan. The runner advances to third base. Bosch hits it hard for the second time tonight, but he's 0 for 2, and that's going to bring up Carlos Guillen with an RBI chance. Carlos had a single to start things off in the second. The inning, the Tigers got their run on a bases-loaded walk to Ryan Rayburn. That's all they've been able to do so far against John Lannon.
Tigers have had themselves in this situation a couple of times already in this game with a runner on third, less than 2 outs, and they have not been successful.
Well, Jim has said this is why he likes Guillen in this spot in the lineup, the 6th hole, because of RBI chances, and he's got one here with 1 out. Each team with 5 hits. Carlos now a 7-game hitting streak. Chopper hits slowly to the right side. They're going to come home with it, and he is safe. Cabrera beats the throw and the tag.
Morris, the first baseman, caught Pudge Rodriguez off guard. That's where you take the out at first base. You don't force the issue here on a slow hit ground ball. Pudge is out in front of the plate. He's thinking, take the out at first. All of a sudden, here comes a throw, and he has to reach back to try to tag Cabrera, who had a very nice hook slide to get underneath the tag of Pudge Rodriguez. Pudge was not expecting that ball at home plate. Nice slide.
Here's Brandon Inge, still only 1 out. Inge had a single, scored a run back in the second. His hitting streak now has reached 10 in a row. I mentioned this the other day. Brandon Inge, his longest hitting streak is 13. He has done that twice, so he's 3 shy of his career high. But the last time he had a hitting streak this long, it was 2005 when he had that 13-gamer.
He's got a real nice, friendly count to hit in here.
Hammered back out of play, 2-1. Inge has 26 RBIs. Swing and a miss. 2-2 on Brandon.
And Lannon was their opening day starter this year. He was also their opening day starter last year. But not next year. Big Steven Strasburg will get that honor next year.
Pretty safe bet.
Yes, indeed.
Driven high in the air down the left field line. Hooking. And it is foul.
Home run distance.
Just a hair out in front of it. Otherwise, the Tigers had the lead. Two on Brandon. Popped him up. Right side of the infield, Guzman to the grass. 2 gone. Well, throughout our communities, unique individuals give their time and resources to help others. People Magazine's All-Stars Among Us recognizes 3 finalists for the Tigers: Gordy Van Hatesma, Willie Johnson, and Ed Deeb. And through this Sunday, June 20th, you can vote for one of them by going to peopleallstars.com. The Tigers winner to be honored at the All-Star Game July 13th in Anaheim, California, as seen on Fox. So head on down to the internet and vote. Here's Gerald Laird. And while you're there, vote for your favorite Tigers, too, to get to the game. Laird had an infield hit. He hit a ball right off the pitcher back in the second. Here's the 1-0. To left field, sinking, base hit. Zimmerman, or Willingham, I should say, able to cut that one off. And to third base is Guillen. So the Tigers have something brewing here now with 2 outs.
Last couple of games, Laird has started to swing the bat a little bit better. He gets a fastball, cut fastball, I should say, running in, and he's able to pull his hands in nicely. And Willingham did a very nice job getting over to cut that ball off. Had he not, of course, Guillen comes around to score from first.
So the tying run just 90 feet away. That's Carlos Guillen. Can Danny Worth come through with 2 outs? Danny reaching out a fielder's choice his first time up. Takes ball low. Worth at 250 for the year now. 3 RBIs. There's a strike on the outer edge, 1-1. Lannon pitched his college ball at a small D1 school, Siena College. And by the time he left there after 3 years, he had 17 victories. They termed him as a late bloomer in both high school and college. But he's made quite a few starts his last 2 years. In fact, the last season in the big leagues, a total of 33 starts for Washington. And had an ERA under 4. 3.88. Two and 1 on Danny Worth. That'll go foul. 2-2 on Worth. Danny had pretty good numbers down at AAA, 287. He came in as a minor league 239 hitter. That was before he got a whole lot stronger in the offseason. And the results showed a little bit at AAA this year. He did not have the kind of season he wanted last year, and kind of made a pact with himself to get stronger, get bigger. And he hits a ground ball to third. Right there is Zimmerman. He'll go the short way to second to retire the side, and that is it. Tigers able to get a run. Miguel Cabrera avoiding the tag of Pudge Rodriguez. Yep, got to be bench.
That's it. That's it.
That's all you get?
Well, I don't want to get too many more.
Now it's down to 3. Can you name the 3 others? As we adjust our question. 0-2. 2 very good guesses, though. And they're both correct. Michael Morse is leading it off as we play here in the 4th inning.
Piazza was like a 62nd round draft choice.
He was indeed. Isn't that amazing?
62nd round draft choice.
That ball is hit way back into right field, and it's going to get out the opposite way for Michael Morse. Scherzer is taken deep as Morse hits his second.
It's some wind blowing in that direction today. So if you're Scherzer and you do go away from some of these big right-handers, if they get it up, it'll travel out of here. A lot of wind blowing in that direction. That's a 94-mile-per-hour fastball that's right around thigh high from Morse, and extends those long arms, and he golfs it out of here.
So the Nationals rebuild their 2-run lead. Ian Desmond, the number 9 hitter, looks at strike 1.
Coming into play today, the Nationals had 57 home runs as a team, more than the Philadelphia Phillies.
No, really?
They did. I was shocked when I saw that.
Well, I wouldn't have guessed that, but after seeing some of their numbers here tonight, guys like Zimmerman, Dunn, Willingham, I guess it's got to be true.
I mean, Phillies supposedly have one of the better offensive clubs in all of baseball under Charlie Manuel, their manager.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Desmond. Bouncing ball third base side, deep behind the bag. Inge has it. Desmond is out, 1 gone. Speaking of those Phillies, they're matched up with the Yankees tonight.
Ooh, rematch of the World Series last year.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
And it's Halladay and CC Sabathia.
Yeah.
Halladay has pitched very well against the Yankees in his career. Of course, the majority of that career was in a Toronto Blue Jays uniform, but he kind of owned New York. But he owned a lot of people, too.
Strike 1 on Guzman. He has struck out twice tonight against Scherzer. Max has rolled up 6 strikeouts. Chopper hit to the right side. Guillen. 2 gone. Look, Guzman is now 0 for 3, and that's going to bring up Nyjer Morgan. They have not been able to keep him off the bases tonight. And as a result, he has swiped 2 and has scored 2.
Nyjer Morgan was outstanding after being traded to the Washington Nationals last year at the top of their batting order. Then he broke his hand and missed the remainder of the season. And they struggled without him. They were pretty good with him after the trade. They really struggled without him. And Mike Rizzo, the general manager of the Washington Nationals, said it was no surprise and no coincidence why they struggled.
Here's the 1-1. We were talking about his hockey background. At the age of 16, he actually left home and went to Canada to play hockey in the major junior level at Regina. And learned a whole lot of toughness from that sport. Sky to the air to center. Rayburn backing up on it, and that is that. So they get the home run to add another run. Meanwhile, it's going to be Ryan Rayburn leading off the bottom of the 4th. named the 5 catchers in Major League history with more career RBIs than Pudge Rodriguez. We gave you a couple of them. Yogi Berra, Ted Simmons, and Carlton Fisk were the other 3, along with Bench and Piazza. There you go. Some really heavyweight names. Here's Rayburn, the leadoff man of the Tigers lineup, as we head to the bottom of the 4th inning. There you go. Yogi had over 1,400 RBIs. There's the list. It's a whole lot of driving in runs. There's a bouncer back up the middle into center field. It finds its way. And Rayburn has a leadoff single.
Tigers have had a nice approach against Lanning. He will not pitch inside, therefore they're hitting everything right back up the box. And as we've documented, they've had difficulty touching home plate in this game, however. Let's hope that changes in this inning.
Tigers had a single and a walk, but did not score a run in the first. Left 3 men on in the second and a couple more in the third. Here's Johnny Damon. Seven Tigers hits in this game, 6 for the Nationals. Damon has bounced out a couple of times. Awkward looking swing. 1 ball, 1 strike on Damon. Johnny had a 3-hit game in that series against Pittsburgh. In fact, was 7 for 11 against the Pirates as the Tigers swept them out of town. Well, Damon this year has had 4 3-hit games. Now the 1-1. Damon DHing again tonight for Detroit. Let that one sail high. 2-2. Wind is really starting to kick up. That may become a factor before the night is done. 2-2 pitch on the ground, and a nice stab there by Morris, and that's all they're going to get. Wisely held on to the baseball.
This man, make sure you get 1 out, and because he was so close to the bag, he just reached over and tapped it with the glove, and Ryan Rayburn got a pretty good jump and break off of first base. Therefore, there was not going to be a play there at second.
One out with Rayburn at second base. Here comes Ordonez, 1 for 2. That goes up to 314. Rolls that one foul. Ordonez has played 170 interleague games in his career. 170. And in those interleague games, he's knocked in 140. With an average well over 300.
Maglio does not strike out very often. As a matter of fact, he has never struck out 100 times in a season. Tremendous hand-eye coordination and usually thrives in these situations. And then when you park a big guy, number 24, behind him like Cabrera, it's one of the main reasons why Maglio has done so well with runners in scoring position. He's a nice protector.
Trying to cash in Ryan Rayburn here with 1 out in the 4th. Outside and high, 1 ball, 2 strikes. 41 RBIs this year for the Tigers right fielder. Missed a total of 6 games with the sore oblique.
Maglio's got a legitimate shot to go to the All-Star game this year in the outfield.
Yeah, I agree.
There's not a whole lot of outfielders having great years. There's a few, but there's not that many. Usually it's the toughest spot to pick because you've got so many big physical strong guys that play the outfield that hit for power and drive in lots of runs.
Tigers tonight just 1 for 8 with men in scoring position.
Ugh. Nice job. That's why he's good.
Would you say that Valverde and Cabrera are locked?
Yes. No doubt.
Well, both those guys have been lights out.
No doubt.
Beyond that, who knows?
Verlander has a legitimate shot with a few more real nice starts. Zamaya has a legitimate shot.
Just missed. 2-2.
And of course, we've talked about Maglio with an outside shot as well. Fox Tracks giving us a real good idea where that 89-mile-per-hour fastball from Lannon was. About 4 inches off the plate inside.
Lannon gave up a leadoff single. Rayburn now at second with 1 out.
Lannon has thrown Maglio just about every single pitch that he has in his arsenal, and Maglio's gotten a piece of just about everything.
Driven to left field and hit pretty good. Willingham going back. This one is over his head and off the wall. Rayburn comes around to score, and Ordonez gets it done again. His second hit of the night. And the Tigers are back to within 1.
He's just a really good player.
Maglio Ordonez safe at second with a double. Safe and secure, New York life.
This ball's at the bottom of the strike zone. It looks like a changeup. Maglio goes down and gets it and hits a seed over Willingham's head. Willingham paused momentarily like he thought the ball was not going to carry that far. And when he realized it, it was too late.
42 RBIs for Ordonez. So Scherzer watching his team crawl back into this one. It's now 4-3 with a tying run at second base, and they do not want to deal with Miguel Cabrera.
I don't blame him. And Jim Riggleman said as much before the game. If I've got a nice parking spot for Big Cabrera, that's exactly what he'll get. He'll walk down to first base. And I would expect that Cabrera is going to start to get a little bit more of the same kind of treatment with what he's been able to do this year.
So the intentional walk puts runners at first and second with only 1 out. Well, it's a Fox Sports Detroit Prize Pack Tuesday brought to you by Meyer. Text Meyer to 37338 to be eligible to win a fantastic prize pack any baseball fan would love. Meyer, higher standards, lower prices.
That's why it's imperative for Maglio Ordonez to do exactly what he has done this year for the Tigers and continue to do that, because Cabrera is going to start to get that kind of treatment.
Cabrera now has overtaken the league lead in intentional walks over Ichiro with 7. Ichiro has 6. Ball 1.
And they're walking Cabrera to get to a guy that's hitting over 500 against left-handed pitching.
Well,
they're not playing the numbers here, that's for sure.
They're not, but you understand why they do.
It's all about reputation.
Bosch has hit the ball hard on the ground twice, 0 for 2. Here's the 1-0. He had a rip. 1 ball, 1 strike on Bosch.
Wow. And he got here about 3 weeks later than all the other rookies that started the season in the major leagues. So that kind of validates how good this young man has been.
1 ball, 1 strike on Bosch. Into the glove of Rodriguez. 1-2.
It's a fastball up. It's a real good aggressive swing by Bosch, but he just comes up empty. But the key to the pitch is up around the belt buckle or higher. You don't want to pitch Bosch down in the strike zone.
That's high, and he laid off 2-2. There is activity for the Washington Nationals.
Lanning's thrown 85 pitches. 85 of them.
Here's the 2-2. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
5 days ago when Lanning took the ball, he only lasted 4 2/3 innings, so he's been stressing their bullpen out his last couple of starts. I don't think Jim can start him here, especially with Carlos in the on-deck circle. You don't want to run into an out after a strikeout. But we'll see what Jim's thinking.
Runners hold, and it's low. Ball 4. Bosch gets a walk, and they are loaded up. Well, here are the numbers on Guillen. Career with the bases loaded. How about those apples? 405.
Veteran players really relish these situations. They understand, first and foremost, who's on the ropes. In this case, Lanning.
High fly ball, left field. Willingham backing up. Still going back. Maglio tagging. He'll come around to score. Sac fly RBI to tie the game. Second RBI of the night for Carlos Guillen. He has 19. Tigers have had to come back a couple of times tonight. They've knotted it up again at 4-4. 2 outs for Brandon Inge. Inge a single and a pop-up. Strike 1. Brandon singled back in the second and scored a run. And the bases loaded walk to Ryan Rayburn. Driven back out of play. Lanning was drafted in 2005 by the Nationals, and Ryan Zimmerman got to the big leagues before he did. He was the first out of that class, their first class in Washington, for the Nationals at least. And then Lanning became the second from that 05 class to join the big club. Here's the 0-2. Bouncing ball left side. Cut off there by Zimmerman. And they'll get the force to retire the side. Tigers, however, tie it up. They get a couple of runs. We go to the 5th. It's the 2011 Jaguar XJ, and by grown-ups in theaters June 25th. Miguel Cabrera earlier in the game sliding in just ahead of the tag of Pudge Rodriguez. It is 4-4 in this one. It's been a heavy scoring night here early in this game for these two teams. Scherzer back to the hill, drops in a breaking ball for strike one to Ryan Zimmerman.
Zimmerman, as you were talking about last half inning, didn't spend a whole lot of time in the minor leagues. 75 games, 275 total minor league at-bats before coming to the big leagues to stay. And he is a good one. Had that 30-game hit streak last year to begin the 2009 campaign. You think anybody will ever get to 56?
No.
No?
I'm talking to Johnny Damon about that earlier this year because Johnny had, I think, a 15-gamer going, or maybe even more than that, and he doesn't think it's going to happen either. 56 is just awfully tough. And one of the reasons Damon said was the media crush, once it gets to 20 or 30, just gets to be unbearable.
Yeah, Zimmerman was starting to feel that last year when he got close to 30. He ended up with 30.
Everybody's talking about it, and if you don't get a hit in your first or second at bat, the pressure increases.
But then you got to see bullpen guys that are throwing 100 miles an hour. Everybody's a specialist late in games. So it's quite impressive the fact that he was able to get to 30 of them.
Here's the 2-2 to Zimmerman. And strike three call. He's got him twice tonight. That's 7 strikeouts now for Zimmerman.
Twice looking today.
Well, this game is being broadcast on AFN, the American Forces Network, broadcasting to the U.S. Armed Forces, serving in 175 countries and aboard ships at sea. They're watching around the world in Iraq, Germany, Italy, Southwest Asia, South Korea, and Japan. We welcome you.
Check that. Once swinging for Zimmerman and once looking.
Here's Adam Dunn. Dunn was walked in the third. He scored a run. 0 for 1.
Adam Dunn has done the majority of his power damage in the Cincinnati Reds uniform. He had a stretch there in 5 years with Cincinnati where he averaged over 40 home runs, 100 RBIs, and 100 walks a year. Just dangerous in the middle of that batting order.
It's a nice 5-year stretch. You talk about consistency.
But the knock on him in Cincinnati was the fact that he walked too much. There was one year where he had 26 home runs and he only drove in 76, and they were like, you're walking 123 times. We'd like to see you swing the bat a little bit more at some of these real close pitches. But Dunn said, my strike zone is what it is. I learned it at a very young age. I've got tremendous plate discipline. I'm not going to venture away from that. So he would not swing at bad pitches. But you can understand Cincinnati's point.
Yeah, with the damage he does, there's no question about that.
And this is how you want to pitch to him. I mean, you have to get him out on pitches that are in the third with good firm fastballs. He's got a little blind spot right there.
The 2-2, swing and a miss. So the strikeouts are starting to roll up now. That's 8 for Scherzer.
Scherzer's throwing his fastball at 96, 97, then coming back with a changeup at 86. That's a hard changeup for some, but a nice differential for Scherzer because he's got the 97-mile-per-hour heater to go with it.
Josh Willingham steps in.
And it's good to see Scherzer come out with this kind of intensity in this inning after his team has tied the score.
He gets strike one on Willingham.
There's Comcast. 96, they tell us, not 97. He's gone as low as 70 with that changeup today, too.
Well, Max now 95 pitches here in the 5th inning. So both of these starters tonight have gone deep into the pitch count. Here's the 1-1. Didn't go.
He's got a good slider today. I've not seen his slider with this much depth in a while from Max.
Missed it away, 3-1. Willingham a single to drive in a run plus a walk.
He got that single on an 0-2 pitch.
Willingham rifles one into left, base hit. 2-out single, so he's on base for the 3rd time in this game, and he came in 2nd in on-base percentage in the National League at over 400. He finds a way to get on, and now Pudge Rodriguez.
Cabby and Willingham played with one another in Florida. Florida has had some big boys, some big hitters. We see them all around the league these days. Good hitters Florida's had in their organization.
Kansas City trade for one last year, Mike Jacobs.
Mike Jacobs, yeah.
Big home run hitter. Pudge Rodriguez RBI hit. That was back in the 3rd, and Pudge now has knocked in 20. He missed 14 games earlier with a back strain. And he rifles that one back out of play 0-1. On the list of the best players you have seen play this game, I would assume Pudge Rodriguez has to be in your top 10, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah, he's up in that top 10, no question. He's the best catcher that I've ever seen play. I know a lot say Johnny Bench is the best catcher of all time. And there are a lot of people that say that, but I didn't really see Johnny play all that much. But I had a chance to watch Pudge play, and it's hard to imagine a catcher in their prime that threw the ball better than him and also learned how to catch at that position too. Offensive-minded, lots of hits. He's a winning player.
It all started as a 16-year-old in Puerto Rico.
Catching all those games in Texas in that heat.
Oh, 1 on Pudge. Fouled away again. 0-2 on Pudge Rodriguez. Here are some of those numbers we talked about.
And those numbers will get him to the Hall of Fame when he finally shuts it down. Longevity.
And the 0-2 pitch out, but nothing doing. Willingham going nowhere. Willingham has stolen 5 in 5 attempts. Last time, was that in Chicago where Scherzer threw the pitch out but caught too much of the plate?
Yes, that was. On the squeeze play?
On the squeeze, that's what it was, yeah.
Yeah. Jim called for a pitch out, and Laird scooted out to take the pitch out, and Omar Vizquel for the White Sox got a piece of it and was able to get the ball on the ground for a successful squeeze.
Boy, and as a manager, when you sniff out a squeeze and they still get it down, awfully frustrating as it was that day. 2-2 on Pudge. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. 9 strikeouts for Scherzer. Nothing doing here in the 5th. We'll go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Tigers and Nationals getting together for the first of a 3-game interleague series. Tigers won 3 against the Pirates. Good start to the homestand. And for the Tigers, Gerald Laird leads it off, and Danny Worth and Ryan Rayburn. And it's a line drive, base hit to left. Gerald Laird has his 3rd hit of the game. Leadoff man on here in the 5th.
I was watching the third baseman, Zimmerman, right before that ball was delivered toward Laird. And he was coming in. Take a look at him here, because Laird likes to bunt. Now look at Zimmerman come in now. He's thinking about bunting. Laird hits a bullet right past him.
Danny Worth due up. Steve McCaddy is out of the Washington dugout, the former Tigers pitching coach.
Steve McCaddy had a couple of really good years in the big leagues. One in particular, 1981. He had 16 complete games, Mario, in 22 starts.
Whoa.
16 complete games.
You see that a lot these days, don't you?
And he finished 2nd in the Cy Young voting that year to Raleigh Fingers. So he almost won a Cy Young, did McCaddy.
Good guy, too.
Billy Martin could wear out a pitching staff, boy. He had some arms that he wore out early in their careers in Oakland.
That's one of the toughest things for a manager to manage, the bullpen, the pitching staff. Some guys can do it a little bit better than others.
Yep. Apparently Billy didn't have much of a bullpen in the early 80s.
No. Worth looking to bunt. Danny is 0 for 2.
Well, you want to keep it away from Zimmerman, the third baseman. He won a Gold Glove last year, and if you do make a bunt, and it's a bad bunt down toward third, then it's going to be tough for Laird to get to second. So if you're Worth, you want to bunt the ball down in this direction, and you want to make Morris come and get it.
Bunted to first, but foul.
Here's some of what I was talking about. This is 1980 with Billy Martin's staff in Oakland. Look at all the complete games here on the right side here. 24, 28, 20, and 11 and 10 for the bottom 2 guys there. They were finishing every game they started. That's fascinating.
Yeah, that's pretty astounding, but I guess for that time it really wasn't.
Really? That many?
Well, no, I guess that many for a staff is a lot, but the fact that you had guys that went out there in the early 80s and 70s and early 80s looking to complete games. Much more so than they do here or these days.
Well, it must be tough for a guy like McCaddy then to adhere to some of the restraints.
Slowly roll towards second. Guzman bobbles and has no play. Everybody's safe.
The Nationals have made more errors than any team in their league. And that's just, that's a mental mistake right there. I mean, that's kind of a mental mistake there on Guzman's part. He has plenty of time and just does not field it cleanly, nonchalantly goes after it and just can't grab it.
We'll see if the Tigers can make him pay.
There you have it, 58 of them, and they rank last defensively. And the Tigers have themselves another bunting situation, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Rayburn's up there bunting.
Rayburn a single, bases loaded walk, which forced in a run.
Just to finish that thought on McCaddy, it must drive him crazy sometimes when a pitcher gets to 80 or 90 pitches and they think about taking him out of a game, with him pitching in the early 80s on a couple of staffs that finished every game they started.
Swung on and belted. Way back to left field and way gone. Ryan Rayburn is having one heck of a night. Filling in for Austin Jackson and doing quite well. No doubt about it home run.
You brought it up a couple of innings ago when the bases were loaded and Rayburn was in the batter's box. You said Rayburn needed a big at-bat. Rayburn needed a big hit. He got the base on balls to get him started with the bases loaded, but he's singled since then, and he took a fastball above the belt buckle and shot Lannon for a 3-run home run.
And all of a sudden, the Tigers have their 10th hit, and they have 7 runs on the board now, a 7-4 lead.
That's why Jim continues to run him out there. And Jim knows the value of Rayburn, and he knows that Rayburn can help his team when Rayburn's hitting the baseball the way that he's hitting the baseball today.
Big old smile on Ryan's face, and deservedly so. Fouled back out of play. So Rayburn hits his first of the year, and his first since October the 4th against the White Sox last year. 0-2 on Damon. Tigers have scored in every inning of this game except the first.
Now this game, if you were with us at the top, you know is exactly how Landon pitches. He pitches in a lot of traffic, lots of base runners, and every now and then they catch up to him and he gives up some runs.
The 1-2 pitch is another shattered bat for Damon. And Zimmerman will catch this one. First out of the inning. He's been pretty good at coming back this year.
12 times. We've had a nice front row seat to all of those comeback victories.
That's going to be it for Lannon. His night is done. He gives up 7 runs. Wallside Windows pitching change. Washington goes to the bullpen. FoxSportsDetroit.com to vote for the Tigers' top memorable moment that you'd like to see replayed here on Fox Sports Detroit. Our 2 nominees, Armando Galarraga's imperfect game and Maglio Ordonez's walk-off home run in the 2006 ALCS. I invite you to vote. And, of course, Mr. Ordonez will step in now with nobody on the bases, but a big inning for the Tigers. You can vote for Mags or vote for that guy right there, Galarraga. Both special moments here at the ballpark in vastly different ways. 1-0 on Maglio. He's 2 out of 3 tonight in his return as we check out the numbers on Tyler Walker.
He's done nice work. Earned run average under 4, 28 strikeouts in 31 2/3 innings.
A fair ball over the bag. Ordonez has another hit. And Maglio will scoot into second with a double. That's his 3rd hit of the game.
How about Maglio after missing 6 games with some soreness in his left oblique? Well, he has come back today and has really not missed a beat.
So 2 doubles tonight plus a single. Maglio now hit safely in 5 in a row. And let's see if the Tigers can tack on here. They lead 7-4. Cabrera has been on base 3 times. 2 walks, once intentionally, and a 2-base hit. Ball 1.
I was talking to Cabrera a couple of weeks ago, and I was asking him why and when he started to hold the bat the way that he holds the bat. I'm talking about the bat knob and why he holds his pinky off of the bat, as you can see right there. He said Pudge Rodriguez taught it to him.
Really?
Yeah, he said it was in 2003. Cabrera was in big league camp, but he was going to start the season in the minor leagues, which he did, Double-A. And Pudge Rodriguez in spring training gave him some advice and said, why don't you start holding the bat the way that he's holding the bat right now? And you kind of know the rest of the story. Cabrera went on that year in 03 to post some monster numbers in Double-A. And then he got called up to the big leagues, and of course Florida won the World Series that year. And Cabrera was hitting right in the middle of that batting order in the World Series. So he went from Double-A to the World Series. And he said Pudge Rodriguez deserves a lot of the credit because of the way that he holds the bat now.
Well, he's done a lot of damage. Leads the league in RBIs. Ball outside. 3-1 now on Cabrera.
The Gladiator, 54. How about Gloss? Where's he been?
49 RBIs. We'll see him this year in an Atlanta uniform.
All right-handed hitters.
High fly ball, shallow left center field. Who's going to take it? Morgan, look out.
I don't know if Morgan was calling it or if he was telling everybody that he couldn't see it. Usually when you put your hands up the way that Morgan put his hands up, you're telling everybody you can't see it. Take a look at Morgan. His hands go up immediately. He's running in the direction where the ball is, though, so I really couldn't tell.
Willingham in left field was doing the same thing.
I mean, he's got his hands up, but somehow he's still running in the direction of where the ball is, so he must have saw it go up immediately. And then he's not able to make that play. But it's a nice job that Desmond, the shortstop, was hustling the way that he was, because Desmond would have been able to make that play. He showed a lot of range from shortstop there.
Bosch fouls it away.
This is the time of night when you will lose some baseballs when it's going from dark to light, and you've got that gray sky up there that's pretty much the same color of the baseball. You really got to pay attention when balls go up. And that's what you're looking at when the ball goes up here tonight.
Again headed back to the seats, and again out of play. 0-2 on Bosch. Bosch 0 for 2 with a walk. Maglio still at second base with his 2-base hit. He's standing there now with 2 outs. Fouled off. I asked Bosch before the game how come he chose Eminem as his walk-up music. He said, I actually met Eminem when I was 13 years old. He played a concert in California. And he said, I got to go backstage and meet Eminem, which was a lot earlier in his career. He said, I loved him ever since.
His new CD drops on Friday.
Yeah. And he said, you know, now that I'm playing here in Detroit, he's a Detroit product, so I'm going to go with his music. Little chopper hit slowly toward the shortstop. And Desmond will throw him out. So the inning is over, but a big inning for the Tigers. They scored 3 runs. Rayburn goes deep. score. Detroit with the lead. And Scherzer back out to the hill. He has thrown over 100 pitches, but he'll try and get through the 6th inning. Roger Bernardino leads it off. He'll be followed by Michael Morrison, then Ian Desmond. Been a back and forth affair here tonight. The Tigers currently have their largest lead of 3 runs. And they have 11 hits tonight. One for 2 for Bernardino. Ball high from Scherzer. Bax this evening has fanned 9. He struck out the side in the 5th inning. Gave up a hit as well, but he's been racking up more strikeouts. The 1-2 is a bouncing ball to the right side.
Hey fans, there's more interleague action tomorrow at Comerica Park when the Tigers host the Nationals at 1:05. For tickets, call 866-66-TIGER or visit tigers.com. Last few years, the Tigers have done some of their better work playing against the senior circuit. As a matter of fact, since 2006, some of the best record. Minnesota Twins with a little bit better record, 56-22 are the Twins. As a matter of fact, Tigers and Twins are tied 56-22 in interleague play, so they're even.
108 pitches for Scherzer at this point. 29 pitch third is the culprit. To stretch that out a little bit too. At home over that time, 32-6.
Ooh.
They've lost only 6 interleague games at home in that stretch. Pretty impressive. And they lead here tonight 7-4. High fly ball right field. Maglio coming toward the corner, still on the move, and he won't get there. Foul ball. Bonine and Koch in the bullpen.
Koch gets up every night.
Seems like it. He's pitched a lot of games.
Yes, he has. He's been very valuable. Tigers did not know what they were going to do when it became apparent that Bobby C would start the season on the disabled list. They had Koch, of course, but they didn't necessarily know what Koch would give them.
Fly ball again to right field. This time Maglio is going to have room. 2 gone. Did you ever think there was a shot they might use Koch in the rotation once they got him?
No, not really.
No.
Not with the guys they had in spring training. I mean, I knew that because of the money that they were paying to 2 of the 3 guys, whether it be Robertson or Dontrell or Bonderman, those guys were going to end up in the rotation if they left spring training healthy.
A one-hopper hit to second base for Guillen, and there is a 1-2-3. Very snappy inning for Max Scherzer. 4 National League West. San Diego still holding on.
How about that?
Kind of surprising. San Francisco's got that really good pitching staff.
Goes to show you the job that Kevin Towers did with that San Diego Padres organization before he was fired last year. They still have quite a few of those same players.
Carlos Guillen swings on the first pitch and drives it deep in the air to right field. Bernardina will get there. One gone. Going to bring up Brandon Inge. Inge had a base hit in his first at bat tonight, so he's 1 for 3. His hitting streak is now at 10 straight. You're wondering about the longest hitting streaks in the major leagues this year for the American League. Robinson Cano, a 17-gamer. Jorge Cantu over in the National League, also 17-game streak.
Looks like Robinson Cano might win that first batting title that everybody kept talking about he would win at some point in time. He's been unbelievable this year for the Yankees.
He came in at 371.
And he's getting it done on both sides of the ball. He's only made 1 error, too. He might get a Gold Glove, too, this year.
One and 1 on Brandon. He's 5 for 10 in that series against the Pirates. Ball away. 2 balls, 1 strike. The Nationals bullpen last year really did not do well. In fact, they were dead last in Major League Baseball. In bullpen ERA, it was over 5. This year, they came into play tonight 8th overall. So they've made some really big improvements in their bullpen.
Mike Rizzo, their vice president and current general manager, got rid of everybody that was in that bullpen last year to start the season. Not one of them is back with the team. So he overhauled the entire bullpen.
I would say so. The 2-2. Popped him up. Shallow right field. Guzman going back.
Well, it's the 6th inning, and that means it's time for the Coors Light freeze cam. And this is what happens after an error. Guzman booted one, which put runners on first and second, and the very next batter is Ryan Rayburn, and he makes Landon pay with a 3-run home run. Coors Light freeze cam, always brought to you by your Frost Brewed Coors Light.
Two gone for Gerald Laird, who's had himself a 3 for 3 night. All singles for Laird. He's also scored a run. The 1-0 is a ball. No, it's a strike. Late call there by Chad Fairchild. 1-1. By the way, that vaunted pitching matchup tonight between Sabathia and Halladay?
Yeah,
not so much.
No.
Halladay has given up 6 earned runs. Ooh. Sabathia not bad, 3 runs. Driven to center field. Niger Morgan backing up. And that'll be a quick 1-2-3 inning. 6 in the books. You're watching Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit, presented by Bell Tire. 1 in this series featuring the Tigers and the Nationals. Phil Cope coming out of that Tigers bullpen again.
31st game now that Coke has been, and he has 4 wins. Brad Thomas also has 4 wins out of that Tigers bullpen. Earned run average is respectable. Phil Coke has just done a very nice job and takes the ball every time Jim Leland calls on him.
So he's top 10 in appearances out of the bullpen in the American League. Cope being called upon again. And he'll face the top of the order, Guzman, and then Morgan, and then Zimmerman.
Well, if everything goes true to form here in this game, Jim would like to use Coke for 1, Zumaya for 1, and then top it off with Papa Grande, Jose Valverde.
Guzman is 0 for 3, a couple of strikeouts and a ground out. Ball 1 from Cope. Tigers have won 3 straight, courtesy of the Pittsburgh Pirates sweep. Ground ball to second. And it's an 0 for 4 night tonight for Guzman. 1 gone.
You know, coming into the season, one of the areas that I thought it would be very important for the Tigers to do well in, and that was bullpen. But I didn't know they would be this good. Second only to the Minnesota Twins.
Here's Niger Morgan, 2 singles, 2 runs scored, 2 stolen bases. And Coke threads the outside corner for a strike. 0-1 on Morgan. Niger batting .254. They got him from the Pirates. Lastings Millage went the other way in that trade. The 0-1. Another strike. 0-2.
And Ryan Rayburn is playing real shallow against Morgan. Morgan doesn't have a whole lot of power toward left field. And then you add in the way that the wind is blowing in from left field. And Rayburn feels like that's where he needs to play, Niger Morgan. Those flags on top of the scoreboard, on top of the light towers, are blowing in at a pretty crisp pace.
Here's the 1-2. Swing and a miss. Ooh, and Morgan is upset with himself. He just couldn't hold up.
And hey, fans, as soon as the game ends, our coverage continues with Tigers Live. You can hear from the manager, Jim Leland, and the players. Plus, we'll break down some highlights, and we'll talk about the game as well. Tigers Live from the Call Sam Studios immediately after the game here on Fox Sports Detroit.
That is now 10 strikeouts for Tigers pitching tonight.
This Washington Nationals team came in sort of hot, too. They had a really nice offensive game in Cleveland on Sunday. 16 hits they had in that ball game.
The Strasburg on the mound.
Yes.
They have put up 7 hits tonight. The Tigers took the lead in this game with a 3-run fifth and lead 7-4. Zimmerman has an RBI tonight. Cope bounces one in. Zimmerman has also struck out twice, 2 of the 9 that Scherzer picked up. Here's the 1-1.
Told you earlier that last year Zimmerman won his first Gold Glove, and he also received a Silver Slugger, which means he was the best hitting third baseman in the National League. Only one of 2 players to get a Silver Slugger and a Gold Glove. Matt Kemp, center fielder of the Dodgers, was the other player.
Also made his first All-Star team, too, last year.
Did a lot of things last year. Did a lot of things.
Well, he's already the Nationals' all-time home run leader.
Going to be in that uniform for at least the next 4 years, too. They signed him to a 5-year deal before spring training last season.
Ground ball left side. Inge will come over to make the play. Zimmerman is out. 1-2-3 inning for Phil Cope. Stretch time.
An hour. His secondary pitches are equally as tough. He's got a breaking ball he'll throw at 90, and Pudge Rodriguez has led him beautifully in his first 2 starts. He's legit. There's no debate about that.
2-0 record. National League Player of the Week, Steven Strasburg. Unfortunately, we will not see him pitch in this series.
This time last year, Steven Strasburg was dominating college lineups. As we speak, he's getting busy after big league clubs.
Danny Worth leads it off against Walker here in the 7th.
And he appears to have the kind of demeanor which is going to allow him to have a whole lot of success in the big leagues. They say this young man is well grounded.
You know, Jim Riggleman was saying the other day, too, that the attention that his team has gotten because of Strasburg will give some other players maybe some exposure that didn't normally get it. Guys like Zimmerman and Willingham having a nice year, and Dunn.
That's a good point.
And all of a sudden, you know, they're on TV a little bit more. People are paying more attention.
The last professional player to come into any league with the kind of hype that Strasburg has had the last couple of days.
Roll to the shortstop, Desmond.
LeBron James. Nobody else, really. And for him to do what he did at their home ballpark with a sellout and 50,000 people coming to see him, to strike out 14 was amazing. Amazing.
Can't imagine the pressure that that young man had to feel. They were actually selling Strasburg jerseys at Progressive Field in Cleveland.
Make the money any way you can.
I suppose.
Well, they had to have an idea that this kid was generating a lot of excitement, because their fan base really this year has only been about 10, 12 per game. They had over 35,000 there the other day when he pitched.
Ryan Rayburn has had the big hit in this game, a 3-run shot in the 5th. And Rayburn, in fact, has had a 4 RBI night.
Good to see him perk up here tonight, especially without Jackson in center field. And it's good for Ryan anyway, because he had a tough year so far. AJ's smile in the back must be feeling pretty good today.
Here's the 0-2. Rayburn now with 12 RBIs. He came into this game 0 for his previous 14, but has a bases loaded walk, a single, a 3-run homer, and 2 runs scored.
That walk kind of got him going because he was down in the count, no balls and 2 strikes, and he was arguing with the home plate umpire, Chad Fairchild, because he didn't like the 0-2 call, and he worked that back to a walk. And a lot of times walks and bloop singles, they kind of get you going.
It appeared that's what happened. And that's good to see. Rayburn trying to keep it going. The 2-2. High fly ball. This will stay in the ballpark. Willingham battling the wind. 2 outs. What's happening on our Comerica game summary tonight? Well, here we go with the Tigers up 7-4. Brandon Inge has extended his hitting streak. Ordonez and Laird with big nights as well, 3 hits each. And we talk about the Rayburn night. 4 RBIs. That home run, by the way, for Ryan was his first of the year.
Everything kind of works around the big boy Cabrera, though. They've walked him once, then they've walked him again intentionally. He's doubled, and he just kind of turns the lineup over, whether it's the top of the lineup or the bottom of the lineup. And the big fella Cabrera creates a lot of it by his presence.
Cabrera on base 3 times. One ball, 1 strike on Johnny Damon. Hitless tonight for the Tigers. On a night where the Tigers have 11 hits.
He's had a nice month of June as well, has Johnny Damon.
The 1-1. Bouncing ball to second. Guzman has it there. And the Tigers go 1-2-3. Walker has retired 8 in a row. Dunn, Willingham, Rodriguez coming up.
At Tigers.com. Vote early and often. Vote today at Tigers.com.
Anaheim, California, the site of the All-Star game this year at the Big A. Here's Dunn to lead it off, and he'll face Phil Koch, who is out there for another inning, or at least for another batter. Got a new center fielder, and that would be Don Kelly. He replaces Ryan Rayburn. Kelly, as he normally does on nights where he doesn't start. Tigers have a lead late. He'll come in to play some outfield. Dunn fouls it back. No balls, 2 strikes. All the things we've talked about with Dunn. The one thing we haven't mentioned is the fact that he's been pretty durable over the last 5-6 years. In fact, he has played no fewer than 152 games the last 5 seasons. Tonight he has fanned twice and has walked and scored a run.
It seemed like at the tail end of Dunn's career in Cincinnati, every single season right around the trade deadline, his name was always coming up. And it's no different in Washington. They're talking about what he's doing this year might bring them a couple of really nice prospects for the future. And because the Washington Nationals really do not believe that they're going to win their division, not this year.
Swing and a miss. And Coke with another strikeout, his second.
As a matter of fact, they finished last in 4 of the last 5 years, and that's that fastball we were talking about earlier as to where you want to throw Dunn. You want to crowd him in, and you want to go above the belt buckle. They've done that a couple of times today and gotten strikeouts.
Jim Leland says thank you very much. He faces 4 batters. He retires all 4. He'll give way to Joel Zamaya, another pitching change. From some big-time heavyweights.
Yes, he was, and Dad kind of finished it off. Yeah, but it's good that Patrick is able to get around the big league players. Even before the Tigers made him their 8th-round draft choice, he's been around lots of good players. St. Louis, where Leland was scouting for 6 years, so you know he was around Albert Pujols and Miguel Cabrera, 2 of your better right-handed hitters in the game of baseball today.
Jim is one proud papa these days, that is for certain.
They're not tipping their hand, but I have a feeling that young Patrick might start his professional career real early instead of going to college. Just kind of seems that way.
Really had an opportunity, a scholarship to Maryland, so they're mulling that over, but I would agree with you. Joel Zamaya, the new pitcher.
Well, Joel just rolled out of bed. In his first pitch, 100 miles an hour. Eye-popping numbers, all-star kind of numbers, really.
Two and one on Willingham. Phil Coke struck out Dunn to start the inning. He retired all 4 batters he faced out of the Tigers bullpen in place of Max Scherzer, who went the first 6 innings tonight and struck out 9.
Just not a whole lot of guys running around in either league that throw the majority of their fastballs at 100 miles an hour.
And one of the incredible things to me for Zamaya, aside from the surgeries that he's gone through, is the fact that he has really slimmed down in terms of his physical look, yet he has not lost anything off that velocity.
Nothing.
High pop-up, shallow right field. And Cabrera makes a nice play in foul ground.
I think Cabrera's kind of realized that he's going to have to make that play this year. Polanco, in previous years, because of his heads-up way that he played the game at second, he would make a lot of those plays over there. But Carlos, He plays up the middle, so it's a little bit more difficult for him to get to some of those pop-ups that some second basemen would make.
Here's Pudge Rodriguez. Pudge had an RBI single in the third. No Pudge for all those years caught Joel Zumaya. Now he's got to face him here. .338 batting average for Pudge.
I think the Tigers made the right decision a few years back after the 2005 season when both Joel and Verlander were starting pitchers in the minor leagues. And they felt like Joel would be better served in the bullpen, and of course Verlander has anchored the staff, but I think they nailed it and they got it right.
Awfully enticing when you have a guy with Zamaya's skills not to want to start him every fifth day. But he's just so dominant out of the back end of a bullpen.
I was asking Joel about a month ago, when did you really start throwing 100 miles an hour? He said it wasn't really until that 2005 season in Double-A where he touched 100 miles an hour a few times. Then all of a sudden he gets to the big leagues in 06 and was stellar out of the bullpen. Of course, the Tigers got all the way to the World Series, and Joel Zumaya was a major reason for that at the back end of that bullpen, getting the ball to Todd Jones.
Bouncing ball deep in the hole. It's short on the backhand. Worth. Nice play. The 1-2-3 inning for the Tigers bullpen. When we get to the bottom of the eighth, Ordonez, Cabrera, Bosch.
Tigers have a 7-4 lead here, bottom half of the eighth inning. And let's go back a few innings. It was Maglio that had a key at bat here against Lannon, the starter for the Washington Nationals. It's our bell tire pitch by pitch. Maglio falls behind 0-2, and then he just gets busy. Look at this next pitch he fouls off. And then that kind of got him in a situation where he knew he was going to get something down. He knew he was going to get a strike, and he rifled a double off the gate to drive in a key run. But just a tremendous at-bat by Maglio. But what makes that at-bat so impressive is that had he not gotten the job done, then Cabrera doesn't hit, which he didn't hit. So very important for Maglio when there's runners on base to drive them in, because Cabrera is not going to get a whole lot to hit here, I don't think, the remainder of the way. Why would they?
So Ordonez, with his 3 hits, digs in, and he will do it against the new pitcher. It is Sean Burnett.
Yeah, they got some good numbers coming out of their bullpen, and Burnett would be no different than that. The earned run average is good. The opponent's batting average is also very good.
Ground ball back up the middle, and ooh, what a play there by Desmond. Quick throw, pulled him off the bag. Looks like Maglio's got himself his 4th hit.
He had to hustle for this one. We told you about the range of Desmond, very athletic player. He quickly gets to his feet, but he throws from an angle that allows the ball to tail on him, and Morris has to come off the bag to make the play.
It's his first 4-hit game of the year. He's had 5 3-hit games.
How about Maglio? He takes a week off, and he does not see live pitching in that week. No live pitching, BP, just on Sunday. And he goes out and gets 4 hits. It's fascinating. It really is.
Here's Cabrera. Double and a run scored. The 0-1 pitch is off the end of the bat, foul. 12 Tigers hits in this game. They lead 7-4. They have led since the Rayburn homer in the 5th.
Well, you had a feeling, as much traffic as the starter Lannon was pitching in today, that sooner or later they were going to get to him. And they did get to him. And Burnett looks like he could be tough on left-handers from the angle that he throws from. Looks like he starts on the 3rd base side of the rubber. And then once he steps all the way across his body and then throws with some herky-jerkiness in his delivery. Looks like he could be tough on lefties.
Burnett was also acquired in that deal that brought Niger Morgan over. That Lastings Millage deal. In Pittsburgh the last couple of years. It's out of Dunedin, Florida.
Dunedin.
Check the swing, and he went. Cabby's saying, why don't you get an appeal? The home plate umpire, Chad Fairchild, said I didn't need one. Well, the McDonald's Player of the Game voting brought to you by the McDonald's Deluxe Angus 3rd Pounder. Ryan Rayburn, deservedly so. 39% of the votes so far. You can keep voting. Final results on Tigers Live.
And while you're voting, vote for some of the Tigers to get to the All-Star game.
That is the first Tigers strikeout since Ryan Rayburn struck out to lead off the 1st inning. They only fanned twice tonight against Washington pitching.
And Washington has a couple of guys that can strike you out, obviously, at the front end of their bullpen, or their starter, I should say. Strasburg can strike you out, but beyond that, not a lot of strikeout guys at the disposal of Jim Riggleman, their manager. Which means defensively they get lots of plays, and they haven't made a lot of plays this year. They've made quite a few errors. They've got to get better in that regard, and Jim knows that. Baseball's a funny game. Back in 08,
Bosch strikes out looking.
It was Riggleman that was the bench coach for John McLaren, who is the bench coach now for him. So when he came over to Washington, he brought his good buddy with him. Scratch my back, I guess I'll scratch yours too. Why not?
Well, Riggleman has managed in the National League with several different teams, Chicago and San Diego, Seattle in the American League. Here's Carlos Guillen. One ball to no strikes on Guillen. He's had a couple of RBIs tonight. Back out of play. 1-1. Bernardino, Morris, and Desmond would be due up 7-8-9 when we get to the ninth.
Tigers able to pick up a couple of games in the standings against Minnesota. Minnesota dropped a couple over the weekend. Tigers won a couple, so the lead 2.5 for Minnesota coming into play tonight.
In the air to shallow center. Guzman going back, and he's called up out of shortstop Desmond to retire the side. So we're headed to the ninth. You're watching Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit, presented by Bell Tire.
Jose Valverde had a 25-inning scoreless streak snapped just a couple of days ago. He gave up 1 run in the game, but his numbers are still really outstanding. Overpowering fastball and a split-fingered fastball that is really unhittable when he's locating it where he needs to. And he seems to have the perfect temperament for a closer. He's got ice water in his veins.
Well, here are the standings. Just saw some of those Twins highlights. 2.5. The Tigers are behind the Minnesota Twins.
White Sox perked up a little bit too. They won 4 of their last 5, and they got to 7.5.
Well, Jim Leyland hoping to make it a 4-game win streak here with another win over a National League team.
I know he likes his chances with Valverde on the mound.
Roger Bernardino leads it off here in the 9th inning. First pitch hitting. Yikes. Well, Bernardino's on. The Tigers bullpen had been perfect until that. Right in the
that's gonna hurt tomorrow.
Right in the back calf.
Oh, that's gonna hurt. It's throbbing right now.
Here's Michael Morse. It's all right. Get a ground ball here. Get a double play. Morse takes inside 1-0. Tigers have out hit the Nationals tonight 12-7. They lead 7-4. We're in the 9th inning. One and one. Morse has a home run tonight. He hit it back in the 4th. Hit it to the opposite field. Grounded foul. Right by Pat Listash, their third base coach. He's a former Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, he was. Nice table setter. Stole a lot of bases that year with Milwaukee when he won that award.
One and two. He tried to hold up. See you later. One away. By the way, join us again tomorrow for the middle game of this series against the Nationals. Coverage begins at 6:30. Tigers Live, followed by the game at 7. Tigers Baseball presented by Bell Tire tomorrow evening on Fox Sports Detroit, Fox Sports Detroit HD. And there's your pitching matchup.
Well, you don't ever want to miss Verlander, but you might want to come out and watch Livan Hernandez as well. He's off to a really nice start for Washington, and two right-handers that will get it done in quite different ways.
Here's Ian Desmond.
Verlander with overpowering fastballs, and of course Livan. He stays under the speed limit on most of his pitches.
1-1 the count on Desmond.
Verlander only 4 hits given up to the Pirates his last outing. A couple of earned runs. Walked 4 in that game. Livan Hernandez, he pitched for the 1997 world champion Florida Marlins that were skippered by Jim Leyland, and I believe he was the MVP in the World Series that year. That's how well Livan pitched there for Jim.
Here's the 2-1. Swing and a miss, and a big swing there by Desmond. 2-2.
That split-fingered fastball is a ridiculously good pitch.
Tigers pitching has struck out 12 tonight. Maybe 13. Runner goes. Yep. Swing and a miss. 2 gone.
Coming right at you. Tombolina.
So it's up to Guzman now, and the crowd of 24,000 plus, almost 25,000 tonight, to its feet. One more out to get for Valverde. Guzman is 0 for 4. He's staring at the dreaded 0 for 5. Couple of strikeouts, couple of ground balls. Ball 2, 2-0 on Guzman. They get him on base. They bring the tying run to the plate, although it would be Niger Morgan who has little power. Ball 3. He's taking on 3-0, and there's the strike. Verlander tomorrow, then Bonderman for the series finale before the Diamondbacks come to town. 3-1 pitch. He lost him, ball 4. We'll put 2 aboard, so a hit batter and a walk.
The center fielder, Niger Morgan.
Now Niger Morgan. Morgan's been on base a couple of times, 2 singles. He has stolen twice, has scored twice. Prefer not to deal with the guy on deck, Zimmerman. Ball 1. That's ball 2. So Valverde now will get a visit from Gerald Laird. And also from Rick Knapp. Laird was on his way back behind home plate, but Knapp comes trotting out. A little bit of turbulence here in the 9th inning with a hit batter and a walk, sandwiching the 2 strikeouts. There is Zimmerman on deck. You really don't want to deal with him. Morgan has 7 career home runs in the big leagues, so I'm sure Valverde will just challenge him here. Here's the 2-0. Didn't give him the fastball. It's strike 2 and 1.
Valverde can command his split-fingered fastball better than he can his fastball. And that's why he elected to go 2-0 with that pitch versus the 2-0 fastball to Morgan.
Ground ball to second base. Guillen the backhand. Should do it. And it does. Tigers have won their 4th in a row. They continue to pound the National League on this homestand. In the inning, no runs, a hit batter, a walk, 2 men left. Valverde does it again. He saves another for Jim Leyland's crew, and the Tigers win tonight by a score of 7-4.